Welcome to Conversations with Deborah, a bi-coastal dialogue heard exclusively on MalcolmPresents.com. And this is Malcolm Berman, and my co-host Deborah Manning. And Deborah, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Deborah Manning, and a native Southern Californian. Moved back to, of all places, to South Carolina here in Greenville about 6 years ago. And former news reporter. Malcolm and I have known each other for years and years and years. He used to be my producer on a great talk show on the radio, on Salem radio, called Real Money. I had with my late husband, Tom. And we talked about money issues and talked about getting through all of the baloney of misconceptions of money and what have you. Malcolm and I decided to get together to get through all of the baloney that kind of surrounds everything that's going on these days. So we talk about politics, we talk about religion, we talk about, the whole idea is to try and find some common ground here where there seems to be no common ground, but guess what? There is a lot of common ground. This is the last day of the year, of course, December the 31st of 2021. And
Thank God it's over.
I know, and we vowed to do some New Year's resolutions. So will I start or will you start?
You do, because I don't make resolutions anymore.
Really?
I sort of have in my mind what I like to do, but I don't, problem is most of the time resolutions aren't kept. I'd like to find out if there was a percentage, how many New Year's resolutions are kept.
Well, I think that with New Year's, I think with New Year's resolutions, all it simply does, and I like making resolutions because that way you kind of look back to the prior year and see, okay, what came out right, what came out wrong, and what can I do to make 2022 better? And in terms of resolutions for me, in terms of 2022, I'm probably going to watch a lot less news. I find that at this point right now, being a former news reporter, in the good old days, it used to be that we used to get both sides of an issue, kind of like a debate. And a debate would show both sides of whatever the issue might be. I'm seeing one side now, and that is very discouraging. And I don't mean to be. I'm one of those. It's funny. Betty White is going to be turning 100 years old, I think, in the next couple of days. And she said, what were the things that kept her alive as long as she is and what have you? And she said some advice that my mom gave me, and I'm going to take this to heart. She says, I am an optimist, and I stay close to home and close to myself and close to my family, and I stay optimistic. So I think for my resolution for 2022 is going to be staying optimistic, but also staying extremely protective of me and my entire family. I think that we need to take President Joe Biden at his word when he did say this last week that it is going to be a cold, hard, deadly winter. And I believe that it will be. I think true to his word, I think he's telling us that things are going to get significantly worse in 2022, worse than 2021 or 2020. And in fact, in 2022, we had more deaths from COVID, 800,000 deaths from COVID.
Well, we haven't gotten 20. We haven't gotten 2020.
Than we did in 2020.
No, so we haven't gotten into 2022 yet.
Well, I think we need to take him at his word, and his word is it's going to be a cold and deadly winter. And as I say, I'm staying optimistic about it. But one of the other things that I did was that I sold my entire stock portfolio today. And I feel good about it.
Mazel tov. Why?
I did because there's something very odd that's going on. Something very, very odd. For the past 25 to 30 years, there's always been a so-called Santa Claus rally. And for some strange oddball reason, it didn't happen this year. And I believe that the reason it didn't happen this year is that there are many money managers out there that are feeling very much the same way that I'm feeling, which is playing now close to the chest, keeping your money to yourself and not necessarily investing it. We've got too many corporations at this point right now that are flying high and are perhaps not counting on the fact that the inflation has hit a 30-year high, and that we are having difficulties now with the situation with Russia, in the Ukraine, with China, all of these situations that have unfortunately erupted since the election of our dear president. It concerns me. So as a result, I sold off everything, and I did fine, because the only requirement that I had was that I would make more money interest-wise than the banks were giving me, which was the interest was 0.001%. And I did better than that. I made a couple $100 every single month. So I'll pay taxes on it, and I feel good about it. So as I say, I'm in a very good mood. I'm very, very happy about things. And so as I say, that's why I'm gonna maintain my optimism, but I'm gonna make it guarded for 2022, because I think we're really in for it, Malcolm. I think we're really in for it.
Okay, I just want to make a comment on one of the things you said. I didn't know before Biden came in that we had this great relationship with Putin, with Russia. I didn't know that there weren't any troops on the border of Ukraine before Biden came in. It all happened since Biden. I didn't know what actually Trump said, that, oh, we were friendly with North Korea, and we had a special relationship. I didn't realize that before he told me. But anyway, getting back to the news, there's no news. I mean, the thing is, it's all skewed. If again, I've never been a reporter, but I've been a producer.
Sure.
And I've produced news shows. And the thing is, it's all, I mean, the news show, when you write something or you give it to someone to read, it's number one, what do you cover? You know, what events do you cover? And number two, how do you structure it? How do you structure the language? I mean, I had, an announcer come in with the opening sentence. I know what his attitude is. You know what he's going to talk about. You know whether he's pro or con. In the old days, they reported the news and let you decide.
That's right.
The Cronkites or the Wallaces, they reported the news. They reported it as straight line as possible.
Yep.
If they wanted to give their opinion, they would have what's called an editorial.
That's right.
And they'd say, yeah, well, my opinion is, but they delivered the facts. And we haven't had that for years.
Well, I think that at this point, I mean, I love social media, don't get me wrong. And I love the technology. I have Alexa here at the house. I have a Google at the house. And for example, here, the technology that we have here, being able to talk over Zoom, it's remarkable. The only difficulty that I really have at this point right now is that social media seems to be the controlling factor here. And it ends up taking very odd opinions and trumpeting those out as the gospel truth. And it's not. I think there are a lot of very common sense people like you and me, and we're working our way through some very difficult times. This pandemic has been really something. But for example, the issue of politicizing, taking the boosters or not taking the boosters, or the shots and what have you, there was no question in either my husband or my mind of taking the vaccination and taking the booster. We took our flu shots, for crying out loud. There was no question about that. But it's so politicized now as to whether or not that you're a good person or a bad person for taking the vaccination. You know, that's nonsense. Now, the one thing that you just told me, which was fascinating, was that you said that your son ended up testing positive. I don't mean to be revealing anything that's a secret.
No.
Let's talk that through.
Well, the thing is, both of them have. I have two sons. Jonathan, which is the older, he's going to be 27 in February, and Josh, who's the younger, and he is 20. He was 25 in October. So they're like, I think 19 months apart.
There we go.
And both of them have been, aware of what's happening. Both of them have, both shots and the booster.
Yeah.
No, actually, excuse me, they haven't had the booster yet.
Okay.
They've had both shots, but both of them are active. I mean, they've gone to concerts. They've gone to sporting events. where the thousands of people, they are pretty much careful. They do wear masks in public, and they wear masks at the event, but they're in their 20s. It doesn't, they're not paranoid about it. And both of them one of them, actually both of them had to do it for their jobs.
Okay.
Even though the Joshua works out of the house and the computer, but he goes to the office twice a week. And so they have to take tests. On a home test, he turned positive. Actually, he took 2 home tests. One was positive and one was negative. Then he took a third that was positive. So
now at this point right now, he's going to be counted as a COVID test case. And the problem that I have at this point right now is you're saying that he has no symptoms. He appears to be fine, slight sniffle, maybe a little bit of a sore throat, you told me.
And a little headache.
And the bottom line is he going to go to the hospital? I think the answer is going to be no.
No.
So at this point right now, it's an illness that's going to be reported as being a COVID case and scare the bejesus out of everybody, when in fact, he's going to stay at home. He's going to take his multivitamins. He's going to sleep, take some vitamin C. He's not going to the hospital. Thank God for that. And once again, I mean, we're going to have to live with this COVID situation and not be scared to death of it.
Well, I agree with you, but I disagree with you. The fact that when it's reported, for at least even in reported at I listen to more CNN or MSNBC than Fox, but when it's reported, they always say it's a mild case where they're home, and they've been what they do emphasize a lot is that I forget the exact, I don't want to give out the wrong information, but it's I think like most of the people who get sick, I mean seriously ill, are unvaccinated.
Right,
but that's what comes out. But it always says it's not. You still have to be careful. You still have to wear your mask, which is even more frightening. As I was listening to one of the doctors, and they were saying, the masks, the regular masks, if they're not the what's N95, don't do any good, because you have to have the N95. Is it 95 or 85?
95 N95 masks.
N95 mask. It doesn't protect you. So people are under the delusion that they're wearing the mask, they're being protected, and they're not, because the microbes, the virus is so small, it goes through the regular materials of. So they said you might as well not wear anything. But
well,
again,
I mean, but the bottom line is your kids are not hospitalized at this point. They're not clogging up things, and once again. The problem that I have with the news media and with the information that's coming out of the Biden administration is that we have pronouncements about this being a cold, deathly winter from the president.
I haven't heard that.
And then, oh yeah. Well, I'll send you the bite on it. And then secondarily, you've got people in New York City that are lined up for blocks and blocks and blocks to get a COVID test. Now, if they're ill, okay, they're out in the cold. I don't get it. So they're out in the cold to get a COVID test. The other thing I don't get, talk about incompetence, and this is what we hire a president for crying out loud. Why don't we? I didn't know we hired him. Yes, we do.
I thought we elected him.
We hire him to be able to make good decisions. And why in the world don't we have more home tests? Nobody can even find a home test here in South Carolina, much less there in Southern California.
I think that I'm disappointed in the fact that they're not more home tests. And as someone I heard today, why don't they give out the N95 masks? Why isn't that available?
No. It was not available until just recently. My husband and I, how we made money when we got here was we continued his long-term handyman business. And so we had lots and lots of N95 masks. Why? Because we did a lot of drywall work. We did a lot of cleaning up filters work and all, and we needed to make sure that it wasn't going to get into our lungs. We started wearing the N95 mask. And I got to tell you, when the COVID first came out, I mean, the uproar that people said, what are you, doctors or something? I mean, I finally had to lie and say, yes, I'm Dr. Manning and this is Dr. Fisher, but the N95 masks do actually work. And that's the reason we used it in the handyman business. But guess what? Couldn't find them because guess what? They're coming out of China. So this is a kind of a sounding board at this point right now. We need to make sure that we're getting things back here into the United States. We've got to do that. We've got to stay protected here.
Well, the thing that's, we're talking about some of the negative things about Biden and what he's not prepared for. But what I agree with him is that everybody should be vaccinated. It's not a matter of choice. Well, because from what I understand with the viruses, is that people who are unvaccinated, they are the people who actually cause variances. Because
I don't understand why people weren't getting vaccinated, but it's not my choice to be able to understand. I know that I have a number of friends who are not vaccinated, and every chance I have an opportunity to quietly suggest that they get vaccinated. I think what ended up happening was that the message of the Biden administration was a stick instead of a carrot. I mean, unfortunately, when the Biden administration said that when they were candidates, said that they wouldn't touch these vaccines with a 10-foot pole because they were developed by Trump.
Okay, that is
Trump hatred.
No,
yeah, they did.
No, you see that I disagree with you, because
they did.
My understanding was that they wouldn't take it so fast unless it was approved by the FDA.
They villainized it, and as a result, it turned around to bite them on the
Let's not get into that. From my understanding, Trump was the one who villainized it, and his people is saying that the government is trying to control us.
The bottom line is that a vaccination should not be villainized for any reason. It's there to help people and to make sure that people stay healthy, regardless of what administration it is.
Okay,
but I can tell you, Biden's administration did not do it correctly. There should have been lots of public service announcements talking about how the vaccination works, and they should have had plenty of people out there talking about the good qualities of the vaccination and what have you. And they didn't. What they did instead was they said, you're horrible people. That, let's see, I think that one of his announcements was the fact that our patience is running thin with you people who are not vaccinated. People are people. They don't want to be forced.
But that's true. Number one, I think people should be forced if they want to be involved with anything social. If they're going to be out at the street, I don't want someone out at the street that's not vaccinated. I don't want the mailman to come and handle my letters if he's unvaccinated. I don't want.
Bottom line is, if you're vaccinated, you have nothing to fear. But the confounding thing about it is, you said that both of your sons are vaccinated. One got, and they're having a lot of breakthroughs with this Omicron. Thank God it's not serious stuff.
Right. Well, that was the key word. The key word is the people who aren't vaccinated. There are things called breakthroughs.
Yeah.
And it's possible that I could get the virus, but again, hopefully it would be, milder. But then again, I'm at that age, which I don't relate to it, personally. Like they talk about, older seniors, and initially when they say that, I don't say, oh, that's me.
No, but I know,
something, all of a sudden they say, uh-oh, they're talking about me.
No. Well, you know what? I had it early on. I had it in February of 2020, and it knocks you off your feet. But I knew there was something different, and this was prior to us having any tests or really knowing that much about COVID. And what cured the whole thing was rest for 2 weeks, massive amounts of zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C, magnesium, multivitamins, and plenty of water. And that's what controlled the doggone thing.
Well, you obviously had a milder case or a medium case.
I don't know about that. I'll tell you.
You weren't hospitalized, were you? Did you have difficulty?
Well,
breathing?
I got very close to saying. I said to my husband, I said, "Do you think I should go to the hospital?" Because the problem was I had difficulty in breathing. It was like an elephant sitting on my chest, and I was extremely exhausted all the time. But I wasn't stupid. I wasn't going to go out and go to the grocery store. I wasn't going to do this. I wasn't going to do that. So I kept the cats around me, like one back over here. That's Gracie. There's Gracie looking at birds. And I rested for that 2.5 week period of time. But you're right. It is a very serious illness.
Right. But just one thing. No, I forget the point I wanted to make.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking about the social network.
Yeah.
The problem is not necessarily the social network. The problem is the people who are reading it. Because what I do is obviously, we're working with a computer, we're working with Zoom, and
Sure.
I'm reading it almost every day what's coming out. You have to see, when someone states something as a fact, you have to see what are their sources.
I agree.
Who said it?
I agree.
And there's so many things that somebody will tell me. I say, well, where did you hear that?
Thank you.
What was the evidence for that?
Thank you.
And people don't do that.
As a news reporter, I was trained to find out what is your source, what is the evidence, and to really examine that before I went on the air and talked about anything. And at this point right now, you don't see that. And I get concerned by all the news media. I get concerned with Fox, as well as I get concerned with CNN, MSNBC, CBS, all across the board.
I agree. It's
source.
If you want something to find out what news was, the Watergate. What was the name of that movie? Wasn't Watergate? Was it
all the
President's Men?
Yep.
To see how they sourced their information.
And it was funny because
I think they had to have 2 or 3 people that were
absolutely. And Ben Bradley was the editor,
right.
And I don't think we have good editors at this point right now. And that his stick-to-itiveness in asking and telling his reporters, you get me a source, not 1, not 2, not 3. You get me sources, and I want to have absolute information.
Right.
But that's not the case anymore. And that's funny because the Wall Street Journal sent me a survey about whether I was going to continue with my subscription or not. And I said to the Wall Street Journal, it was very interesting that she was interested in what I had to say, oddly enough. I said, your news reporting is slanted and either one way or the other. And I don't appreciate that. I want the facts. I want the information. I read your opinion section because I want opinion. But when I go to the opinion section, I expect an opinion and I need to have diversified opinions, which I get. But I don't want to see it on the front pages. So when you had a movie like All the President's Men, in fact, that's what inspired me to become a journalist. I wanted to be able to inform folks and inform people to be able to make a good, solid decision, regardless what the facts were. And unfortunately, it's so totally changed that we're given a disservice. And I have to tell you, the social media crap is crap. And I'm on Facebook and someone will make some sort of a comment about something. And I will ask, the first thing I ask is what is your source? If there's silence, then I'm going back on and saying, this is unsourced information.
Right. Well,
it's simply, all it's doing is adding, fire to the flames here. And we don't need that. We don't need that.
But I don't think there is a way of controlling it because it's so free out there. The only thing I could say is that for people who want the correct news,
accurate information.
There should be a control there should be a certain stations that you listen to are like controlled, like the newspapers are. They can't just say anything.
There used to be with the FCC, we used to have something called the fairness doctrine. And you were required, and many stations were fined because they would only show one viewpoint, whether it be a left or right wing viewpoint. And there used to be that. And we as reporters were trained to be able to make sure you had both sides of things.
Yeah, it was called also equal time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But anyway, getting off of this topic, what are your hopes for the new year?
You know what? My hopes for the new year. We had a wonderful Christmas. I told you that our my stepdaughter, middle daughter.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
It was magical. It was magical. We had just a wonderful time. And we didn't talk about politics. We talked about life, and we talked about where she was. She's in her early 30s. Her aspirations and getting her way through the COVID situation. She lives in Austin, Texas, and she talked to us about the changes that we've had to make coming here to Greenville, South Carolina. And she truly enjoyed the visit. It was very funny because once again, I told you there's a real prejudice against the South. And it was funny. This is the second time she's been here, but she said it's different. It really is different now. People are smiling at one another, a lot of talking back and forth. And it was wonderful because those are the real things of life.
Do they have legalized marijuana there?
I don't know. I don't know.
But when you said people are smiling and people are talking.
Oh, well, it's funny. We went downtown to Greenville downtown on, I believe it was on Sunday. Beautiful, beautiful day, sunny and what have you. And it was lovely to see people. And I'm talking a crowded downtown. Nobody had masks on. Lots and lots of puppy dogs being walked. Smiles on everybody's faces. Just a feeling, I believe, of relief to be able to, we're social creatures, for crying out loud.
Of course. I mean, that's the problem with the whole thing with COVID. It forces us to withdraw into ourselves.
Well, it was fun being able to talk to total strangers about inane things, about the weather, about Christmas.
I constantly do that anyway. I speak to strangers in elevators.
And it's fabulous, isn't it? But do people look at you weirdly?
Yeah, I mean, say, excuse me, where are you going? You know, what's happening? How was your day?
Yep.
And people look at me. But a funny thing, because I always excuse myself. I said, well, you have to excuse me. I do interview shows on TV and radio and Zoom. And so I'm always in that mode. I love to find, well, actually I do. I love to find out about people.
People
and
are
I love to find out, you know, what they do, what they're about, what their hopes are. And one of my big questions, which is aside from my wife hates me, where you're from, because she thinks, you know, they think I'm from the INS. It's I always say, what are you going to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? Because
that's a great question.
I haven't grown up.
There you go.
And I'm not sure everything changes. I mean, it's since the pandemic, I've been into Zoom. I've never been to Zoom before. I've always been behind the camera.
Yep.
Never been in front of the camera.
But you're very good and you ask good questions, and it's interesting.
This is the first time at this point. So I don't know what next year is going to bring.
Well, it was funny because my stepdaughter, very opinionated about things, and you know, very much swayed by social media and what have you. However, in talking about her on some of the, you know, the ancillary issues of things, it was very interesting listening to some of the ways that she perceived things. And people, I think, are coming back in towards the middle. And she's worried about the crime. The crime situation has been really increasing in Austin. And she's very concerned about that, personal safety issues. They pretty much don't have a mask mandate there. Kids are now going to school. And many of the things that she talked about were very, very much middle of the road. Nothing particularly woke, nothing particularly progressive, just common sense things. And that gives me some hope that we can come back towards some common sense ideas to keep this country going. There's a reason that so many people want to come here to the United States. The feeling of opportunity, the chance to have a better life. It's all of those things that is absolutely totally unique. I mean, it was funny. I remember when my husband and I crossed the country in 2015, and I thought to myself, because I've done a lot of traveling around the world, thought to myself, what a wonderful opportunity to load all of your belongings into a 16-foot truck and come across the country and not have to ask anybody's permission. And we bought this house sight unseen, and we didn't have to ask anybody's permission other than the banks, to be able to have a brand new life, to have a second chance, second opportunity at our age to make things different, to make things brighter. And we have. So once again, I'm very optimistic about us here, and I hope you are there. I get worried about you guys in Southern California.
I'm fairly happy here. I mean, I'm not necessarily. Well, I like here because I like the weather. Number one. Of course. I like the typography where you know you can one day you could be at the beach and in a few hours you could be skiing if you want, and in the mountains. I like our you know, more or less our liberal, you know, government that you know, the you know, California, you know, has, you know, some great laws that are we're the first ones to make things legal. so to speak.
Mhm.
And I like it here. And basically, I control where I am.
Mhm.
You know, it's not some, if it becomes oppressive and I can't do anything, then I'll think about moving. But there was an interesting article they had in the LA Times the other day, and they were
Okay.
talking about the people leaving California, right? But the
Yeah.
state that they were looking for, or the state that came out #1 was Tennessee. I didn't read the whole
Really?
article. It wasn't Texas. It was another state. They said it wasn't, they didn't talk South Carolina, but they were talking about moving the South, and they were talking about people moving to Texas and different states. But Tennessee was the #1 choice of people.
Very interesting. They have no state income taxes there. The median income, pardon me, the median price of homes there is sitting at about 150,000. So,
And that's how much I pay for rent.
wow. Like I said, you're certainly welcome here, Malcolm. It's been an interesting adventure for us, and
Yeah.
we're happy.
Oh, by the way, what I actually thought about you also, there was a picture of a guy who had relocated to Tennessee. And guess
Okay.
what he was doing?
What?
Feeding his chickens.
There you go.
And I'm thinking of you with your, do they call that a hen house or a chicken coop?
No, we have a chicken coop, and yes, we do have a hen run. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
But I was thinking of you because I guess you're the avant-garde. You know, you've been there 6 years. You're leading the way.
Well, it's funny. We have something called the California Club here, and all of us meet, and we have quite a contingency of people from California. Interestingly enough, they didn't bring the politics with them. They want to keep real common sense about things. And it's been funny because we were the first ones here. And my realtor still is astounded. She says, "I can't believe you actually bought a house sight unseen." I said,
That's sort of,
it's a house, you know, and I have a husband. I married a husband who's a handyman. So we can pretty much fix everything. So, and I figured, you know what? This house is since 1948, has housed a lot of people. It's been a very, very happy house, and it's going to be a happy house for us for a long period to come. So, and you're certainly invited.
yeah. Well, one day I might get there. But the problem with me is all my years I've lived in cities. You know, I was raised in Brooklyn.
Mhm.
After I graduated college, I lived in Manhattan.
Mhm.
And from Manhattan, where did I move? To Los Angeles.
There you go.
I mean, there's a great place. There's a great. I've drove cross country, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful country. But I really didn't get to know the people,
Yeah, that's true.
because I think the people that I know from different places all moved from there to, the city, to either New York City or Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And I've gotten to meet, I think, people from around the world.
Yep.
And that's
Well,
one of the things I ask of people: where are you from?
Well, it's funny because here in Greenville, and that's one of the reasons when I was doing my research about this, I didn't really want to be in an isolated small town. But when I looked and really looked at the economic underpinnings of Greenville in South Carolina, when I saw that there's BMW and Michelin and GE and Fluor, these large companies, like I said, and I've said this before, what do they know that I don't know? And what they knew was this is the new way of companies coming in and supporting the middle class. And there's a partnership between the government that's here and the private companies, and it's working. It's absolutely working. I mean, we have Broadway shows that come here to the Peace Center. We have top quality symphony orchestra that's here. We have a top quality ballet company that's here. So it's not like I'm in podunk at all.
Well, I'll give you 2 words about large corporations coming there.
Yep.
Tax break. They get a good tax advantage. But anyway, by the way, has your daughter seen the show at all? Has she
She is watching it, and she finds it very interesting because she said the patter back and forth, very easy. You guys get into it. There's no doubt about it. But you do find some common ground, and that's the whole reason that we're doing this program, folks, is finding some common ground here.
Right, but I'm trying. I'm in her age group. That's who I'm trying to reach. I'm not trying to reach my age group.
No.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if they know how to use a computer.
Well, it's funny
Yeah.
because in her age group, yeah, she does. I mean, she lives and dies by the computer. But I do think that people our age have much to give back to the younger generation because they're going to be here in this world and we won't be. So
Right. Well, talk about yourself. I'm going to be here.
Oh, me too.
But anyway, believe it or not, our half hour is up. You've heard the beep, 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 beep.
I did. So it's been a wonderful year.
And it's the end of the year.
Well, it's been a wonderful year, and I feel very privileged to be invited to be on Malcolm Presents. And please, folks, watch some of the other programs. Malcolm is a wonderful interviewer, very interesting information, stuff that you won't pick up on other channels. And you have some very, very good guests.
And different viewpoints from different shows, which I like to do. And I like to expand the group of shows that I do. I do have Courtney on health. I don't know if you listen to that, but she is a fantastic person on nutrition, on health, on exercise, and she's in great shape.
Fabulous. Well, I think the other thing we'll start to move actually towards is maybe doing some money management. I've had a number of folks say that it would be interesting to get some of the money management, because when we got here, we basically had $50 to our name, and we've managed to build our way back up. So,
well, I was thinking of, my mind is always, commercially, that we could do a 5-minute segment of each show on money if we could find a sponsor.
There we go.
I'll leave you to that. Money management. We call it Manning Money Management, MMM.
There we go.
The 3 M's, and brought to you by Chase.
Wouldn't that be marvelous?
Brought to you by Wells Fargo.
Yep.
Brought to you by whoever. But anyway, that's our plans for the new year. So anyone listening to the show, if you have a company that wants to sponsor our money management, the MMM, Manning's Money Management, please contact us. Until then, have a happy, safe new year, healthy new year, because things are going to get better. That's one thing. I'm not, I don't agree with the president about it's not going to be a bleak, cold, bleak New Year's.
I hope not.
It's going to be, you have to, or as my Aunt Gussie would say, PMA, positive mental attitude.
There you go.
And once you get positive, all of a sudden things will start, coming your way. Don't let the small negatives defeat you.
We're on our way, onward and upward. The best is yet to come, my dear.
Right,
and best to your family and to yourself. We'll see you in 2022.
See you in 2022, which is next Friday. Bye.
Next Friday. Bye-bye.